All right, the only thing that you should have in front of you right now is a piece of paper and a pencil. Today, while I read Freak the Mighty, you are going to illustrate something that you hear. You can draw one scene. You can draw different symbols as you hear them, like different things that could symbolize the book. But you are going to listen and you are going to be drawing the whole time. Okay? Got it? Yeah. Understand the instructions? You could label things, but you don't need to write anything. It's like if you draw a symbol and you're like, well, maybe you don't know what that is. This is actually, a sword from King Arthur. You're drawing things. Like about the story. Things that you hear that could go with the story. All right. So, no questions? All right. Yesterday, something really cool happened to Max between him and his grandpa, Grim. What happened? He gave him a cup of coffee. Why was that important? Why was that meaningful to Max?
The coffee tastes good.
Because kids aren't supposed to have coffee, right? So, I'm just going to move my coffee cup over here. So, it's basically his grandpa was saying, dude, you're a man now. You get coffee. Like that was a big deal, right? Okay. Sorry. Hope that didn't. All right. So this is chapter 9. Life is dangerous. So at the end of last chapter, Freak had woken Max up and they were going to go and seek adventure. So out we go. It's a habit by now. Freak riding up high on my shoulders and using his little feet to steer me if I forget where we're going. Not that we always know. Freak likes to make things up as he goes along. You think you're just walking down this ordinary sidewalk, and really you're crossing this dangerous bridge, and kind made of vines that hangs high up in the air over a deep canyon. And when Freak makes it up, it seems so real, you're afraid to look down, or he'll get dizzy and fall off the sidewalk. Don't ever look down, he says. Just keep your eyes closed. And then he puts his hands over my eyes and tells me to keep walking straight. One foot, he says, now the next. I'm fighting to keep my balance, and his hands are making me dizzy. One more step, Freak says. Steady, steady. Now lift up your your foot. There, made it. And he takes his hands away, and we've crossed the street. Go east, he says, when I get to the end of the block. That way, mighty steed, yonder lies the east. I go, how do you know which way is east? And then something is glinting in my eye, and Freak is showing me this little compass. The official Cub Scout compass? That's a clever disguise, so you don't know how valuable it is, he says. This is actually a rare and valuable artifact passed down from generations. Lancelot used it, so did Sir Gawain, and for a time the Black Knight kept it on a chain next to his heart. I go, so the Black Knight was a Cub Scout, huh? And Freak laughs and says, that way we go to the east on a secret mission. We walk for miles, way beyond the pond and the playground and the school, and for a while we're going through this really ritzy neighborhood of big white houses and blue swimming pools. Freak keeps saying stuff like, that's the castle of Avarice, and yonder lies the bloated moat. And when we go under trees, he'll say, proceed with caution, or all clear, depending on how low the branches come down. We must be east, I say. Have you gotten to yonder yet? Because my stupid feet are getting sore, but Freak pats on my head and says, yonder always lies over the next horizon. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Oh, I believe you. On and on, block after block, through all these neighborhoods that Freak says are really secret kingdoms. I'll bet we've got 10 miles at least, because my legs think it's 100, and even as light as Freak is, he's starting to feel heavy. We're almost there, he says. Turn at the end of the block. Where is it we're going? You'll see, he says, and you will be amazed. Ahead, there's this busy intersection, cars whizzing by, and it all seems sort of familiar. Can we stop for a Coke? I say. Grim gave me $1. Big deal, but we can split it. Freak goes, then that shall be a reward, faithful steed. Tinted sucrose and bubbles of air. Onward, onward to the fortress. It turns out the fortress looks like part of a hospital, which it is. The regular hospital is around in front, and there's this new building added on the back. Medical research, it says. Spelled, it says over the door. And I know because I made Freak spell it out. Does that mean they do experiments and stuff? Freak says, indeed they do. What kind of experiments? I ask. Can you keep a secret? He says. Do you swear on your honor? Sure, on my honor. Freak is really excited. He's shifting around on my shoulders so much, I'm afraid he'll fall. That's not good enough, he says. You need to swear by blood. You mean like cut myself? Well, no, he says, and you can tell he's thinking about it real hard. An actual incision is not necessary. It's the same thing if you just spit on your hand. Huh? Saliva is like blood without the red, he says. Do as I say, spit in your hand. So I spit in my hand, just a little drop, but Freak says it doesn't matter how much, a single molecule will work because it's the principle of the thing. Now put your hand over your heart, he says. I put my hand over my heart. Now swear on your heart that the data you are about to receive will be divulged to no one. I swear. Freak bends down and he's got his hand cupped around my ear and he's whispering, inside the research building is a secret laboratory called the Experimental Bionics Unit. The unit's mission is to develop a new form of bionic robot for human modification. What's that? I say. Shh! Speak of this to no one! But at some future time, as yet determined, I will enter that lab and become the first bionically improved human. I still don't know what that means, I say. Bionics, and please don't make me look it up in the dictionary. Bionics, Freak says, that's the science of designing replacement parts for the human body. You mean like mechanical arms and legs? That's ancient history, Freak says. The Bionics unit is building a whole new body just my size. Yeah, what'll it look like? A robot? A human robot, Freak says. Also, it will look a lot like me, only enlarged and improved. Yeah, right, I say. Let's go home. My feet are tired. Freak tugs hard at my hair. True, he says with his voice getting higher and excited. I've been in there, in the special unit. I have to go every few months for tests. They've taken my measurements, analyzed my blood and metabolic rates. They've monitored my cardiac rhythms and my respiratory functions. I've already been x-rayed and CAT scanned and sonogrammed. They're fitting me for a bionic transplant. I'm gonna be the first. I can tell he really means it. This isn't a pretend quest or making houses into castles or swimming pools into moats. This is why we're here, so Freak could show me where he's been. The place is important to him. I understand this much, even if I still don't understand about bionics or what it means to be a human robot. Will it hurt, I ask, getting your parts replaced? Freak doesn't answer for a while, and then he says in his stern, smart voice, sure it'll hurt. But so what? Pain is just a state of mind. You can think your way out of anything, even pain. I'm pretty worried about the whole deal. And I go, but why do you want to be the first? Can't someone else be the first? Isn't it dangerous? Life is dangerous, Freak says. And you can tell he's thought a lot about this. After a while, he kicks me with his little feet and says, home. Rats or worse. One thing that happened over that summer, I grew even more. Grim takes a look at me one day and he goes, all that walking you do, it must be stretching out your legs. And carrying poor Kevin all that around, that seems to be putting real muscle on you. He's not that heavy. And anyhow, it's not fair everybody always says poor Kevin, just because he didn't grow. Grim gives me this long, sorrowful look, and then he clears his throat and says, you're quite right. He is a rather remarkable boy. He's memorized almost the whole dictionary. You can ask him anything. He knows what it means. You don't say, Grim says. And he has this smug look like maybe Freak is lying and a total goon like me would never get it. And I want to tell him he's wrong about Freak in the dictionary, but instead I just shut my face and go down under. Grim, he's okay sometimes, like when Tony D chased us in the pond. But most of the time, he thinks he knows everything, which he doesn't. And if you don't believe me, look under Grim in the dictionary. It sure doesn't say a smart grown-up. No way. So I'm hanging out down under, listening to some of my thrash tapes on the fake Walkman I got last Christmas, when Freak pops up on the side of my bed. Because of the headphones and the volume being pumped up to megadecibel, I never hear him come in. He's just suddenly there, like, whoa, and I'll bet I jumped about a foot. Freak rolls his eyes and goes, music, how it calms the savage beast. How'd you get here? Would you believe teleportation? No? Then I came through the bulkhead door like always, and like always, I have a quest in mind. Right away I go, my feet hurt. We don't have to leave the neighborhood. Cool, what kind of quest is this? Freak grins, a treasure hunt, except we don't really have to hunt because I already know where the treasure is. Where? Underground, he says, specifically the sewer. Yeah, right, I say, and sit back down in my bed. Freak is looking at me sideways, and I can tell he's not telling me everything, which he almost never does, not all at once. Truth, he says, the treasure is hidden in a storm drain. This has been confirmed by visual observation. Treasure in a storm drain? You mean like gold and diamonds kind of stuff? Possibly, he says, acting mysterious. Anything is possible. The deal is we have to wait until night so no one can see us messing with the storm drain. Not just night, Freak says. We need to do it at exactly 3 a.m. Optimum darkness occurs at 0300 hours, he says, looking at the new watch his mom gave him. The kind that tells you what time it is in Tokyo, just in case you're wondering. We must dress in black and cover our faces with soot. For the next couple of hours, we try to find soot. But it turns out you need a fireplace for soot, or at least a chimney, so Freak finally decides that my idea about using regular dirt will have to do. I've got black dungarees, I say, but no black shirts. Can I just wear a dirty shirt? Freak makes a face and says, what a disgusting idea. Don't worry about the shirt. I'll get you one. Can you manage black socks? You ever notice how long it takes for things to happen when you know they're supposed to happen? My fake Walkman has a built-in alarm, and I set it for 2 a.m. and wear the headphones to bed. But before you can wake up, you have to fall asleep, and I never do fall asleep because I keep waiting for the alarm to go off, which is, I know, typical butthead behavior. I'm lying awake in the dark on a hot summer night, and I'm thinking, treasure in the sewer? What kind of quest is this, huh? Is Freak completely making this up, or what? Meanwhile, there's this cricket making these cricket noises that normally is okay, except when you're trying to fall asleep, then it's not okay. And you want a big can of Raid, send it to Disney World or Insect Heaven or wherever it is that dead crickets go. Question, how come Freak knows about this stuff in the storm drain? Question, how come we have to put dirt on our faces? Questions, how come 3 a.m? Question, how long do crickets live? Finally, I give up on the first 3 and work on the cricket problem, but the little critter is pretty clever. It stops cricketing whenever I get too close, and I never do find it and squash it with my shoe, which I swear I am ready to do, even if crickets are supposed to be harmless. And then, after almost forever, it gets to be 2:30, and I figure that's close enough. I'll go up and wait under Freak's window like I promised. There's no moon, the sky is dark and empty, and the backyards are so lonesome it feels creepy and exciting. The truth is, I've never been out alone at this time of night. I only fall down a couple of times, which isn't bad considering how hard it is to see. When I get to Freak's bedroom window, he's waiting for me. You sound like a car wreck, he says. Here, you better put on this shirt so you don't glow in the dark. Out of the window, he hands me this silly feeling shirt. Hey, wait a minute. This is your mom's blouse. It's black, he says. That's what counts. The camouflage factor. Forget it, I say, and give him back the Fair Gwen's blouse. Freak sighs. Okay, he says. Roll around on the ground and darken yourself. That's easy and better than wearing some dumb blouse. What about you, I ask, when I'm covered with dirt, enough so I want to sneeze. Freak goes, beware the force, earthling. He stands up in the window, and I can see he's got a Darth Vader costume on, except he's not wearing the mask part. He opens the window all the way, and I lift him out and put him on my shoulders. He goes, pledge me your felty. And I say, huh? And he says, never mind. There's no time to look up felty. Just promise you'll do what I say. I promise. Go to the end of the block, he orders. Attempt to conceal us in the shadows. That's easy because the street is one big shadow. It's so dark I can hardly see my feet. Or maybe I got some dirt in my eyes, but the point is no one sees us because there's no one to see us. You'd never know anybody lived here, let alone a whole block full of people. It's like we're on the empty planet or something. Was the real Darth Vader as tall as this? Freak asked from where he's riding high up in my shoulders. I thought it was just a movie. You know what I mean. What's that? That is a cat that runs out from under my feet so out of nowhere sudden that my heart goes wham. Was it a black cat? Freak wants to know. Too dark to tell, I say. Are we almost there? Finally, I figure out it's hard to see because the Darth Vader cape is hanging in my eyes. But by then, we're at the end of the block and the storm drain is right there by the curb. See if you can pull it open, Freak says. He's standing with his arms folded and the expression on his face, well, he really does look like a pint-sized Darth Vader. I hook my hands in the storm drain grate and give it a heave, but nothing happens. I can't budge it. Try again, he says with his arms folded like he's the lord of a universe. I try again, and it's like this grate is super glued or something. No way can I pull it up. Freak is tugging at my leg, and he goes, Option 2 is now in effect.